I'm sure we're going to have some machine gun fire. But at the end of the day, the ammunition that you guys have all brought to the table is how to scale product. Now, when we talk about product, it's services, it's everything having to do with what you're selling or what your consumers are buying. So we have not only a regular team, but we've got a heroic team here. And that's why this podcast is called the ScaleUp Heroes. If you want to see past episodes of these heroes and how they fight the villains that are trying to put them out of business, you can find those at startupacademy.io. But today, we've got literally a worldwide span from Lisbon to London to Paris to Kuala Lumpur to here in Los Angeles, because I'm near LA. And we're going to be talking about scaling up product. And there's probably nothing more important than scaling up product as there is everything else to scale up. And that comes with the team, and that comes with, your funding, and that comes with everything like that. So before we actually lock and load, we have to get the official okay that we are live. So this is our awkward stall time. But, it's more about strategy. So from a strategic standpoint today, I'm going to open up the show. And then we've got Pedro, who's going to take it away with all the questions galore, because he's been working with everybody all week. And so if you were just joining us, we are live. This is going to be kind of like a multiplayer game, but instead of shooting each other, we're going to shoot our information about how to scale product. So again, we've got somebody from Lisbon, all the way from London, Paris, Kuala Lumpur, and I'm here in Los Angeles. We're going to kick the show off with the ScaleUp Heroes. And these people are heroes because they are the ones that are wearing the capes behind the scenes. And one of them here is actually a real unicorn. Yes, unicorns are real. So speaking of unicorns, Pedro, I know you didn't bring your horn today, but I know it's there. Why don't you take it away and help us with this show, ScaleUp Heroes, for game ready play and action.
Thank you, Ryan, for the most amazing introduction. So first thing off, I would like really to thank ScaleUp Academy for making events like this so we can shoot our information to everyone. I think they're super useful and we can really learn a lot from this one. Also, big thanks for all the panelists that are here, which we have like Tim from Shieldpay, Anil from Kaodim, and Ori from Platform SH. And I'll try to drive a discussion with this gentleman regarding product strategy, what influences it, how do we take those decisions. So before starting on this subject, I would like just to give an opportunity to everyone, like in 1 or 2 minutes, to present themselves, present their company, maybe company size, if they got any fund raising. So maybe we can start in alphabetic order. So I'd say, Anil, can you go first, please?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, thanks for the introduction. Yeah. I'm heading product at Kaodim. It's a Southeast Asian marketplace for service providers and users. So what the company generally does is that we connect local vendors to people who we are like the sophisticated yellow directory for a lot of local vendors. And so about me, as in I've been driving product at multiple companies. Before Kuala Lumpur, I was in India, where I was fortunately part of 3 unicorns before coming up to Malaysia. Yeah. So in Malaysia, as in for the Southeast Asian marketplace, is a very good exposure per se when to things like what India was in 2012 or 13. So that was one of the main reasons that I switched to Kuala Lumpur, and I thought that Kaodim, being a small team, they were still at the Series B when I joined them, and even now they are still at the Series B. So I thought the team is quite small, and for me to scale up and see what exactly it takes for scaling up a team from a Series B company to a Series C company and make sure that I'm part of the growth curve is what drove me from India to Kuala Lumpur.
Good, thank you. Ori, do you want to go next?
I believe that the alphabet works like that. Yeah, so hi, so I'm Ori Pekelman from platform.sh, and our mission, our job in life is to simplify the cloud. Basically, we allow clients of any size, from the individual developer or the small startup to the huge multinational, deploy simply their applications to the cloud, make them evolve, and like not get bogged down by the myriad of things that make life miserable for people operating things. And at scale, and so like at small scale and at big scale, it's the same. Yeah. So and we were like, we've just had our annual retreat last week in Barcelona. It was fun. We're a fully distributed company. So from people from New Zealand through Hong Kong, all of Europe, up to the West Coast. So we're now 100, and there were 40 new faces for me to meet. So we're kind of at the rhythm at which we're doubling everything all the time. And product too, yeah. So hi, everybody.
Hi.
So who's next?
Go ahead, Tim.
So I'm Tim Rowe, and I work with a startup called Shieldpay, and Shieldpay have digitized escrow payments. So we enable businesses and consumers to spin up full escrow accounts in a matter of minutes. And that traditionally would take quite an extended period of time with contracts exchanged with lawyers. The tech that we've built is enabling marketplaces around the world to become fully transactional e-commerce sites. We've recently completed what we understand is the very first digital house purchase end-to-end in the Northern Hemisphere. And in fact, breaking news on Friday, we did the first chain transaction globally for a house purchase. So the applications for our escrow technology are growing by the day, and they enable entities and consumers to pay other businesses and other consumers that they don't know safely and securely. And I'm responsible for international expansion at Shieldpay and our bank partnerships.
Great. Good news from everyone. I see. My name is Pedro. I'm product manager at Talkdesk. Basically, Talkdesk it's a product that stands for connecting their customers to their clients regarding support or sales or anything else. Basically, it's a contact center as a service. So in another session, we talked about product strategy, and there were actually two statements that I found that I got really fond of, that were building a product right and building the right product. So even regarding this building the right product and regarding product strategy, I think it's safe to say that we have many pillars nowadays on that stand for a product strategy. May be understanding the market needs so we can address our product to the right people or businesses that will use and pay for it. Also having key features that will work as differentiators that will allow our product to stand out in the competing offers that are on the market, and also not forgetting this product strategy to be aligned with the company business goals. So what I would like to understand from you is that from your experience in your companies nowadays, what do you feel that are the main drivers that mostly influence the product strategy? Maybe you can start on it, Tim.
Sure. So I'd really echo one of the pillars that you talked about, and that's understanding what your market is and who your user is. And I was reading a fascinating piece about, I think it was described as the most important failure in Silicon Valley, and it was a tech startup in the 80s. And the learning from that was that the most important person who's not in the room is actually your user. So it's really, I think, core to the strategy is understanding the market that you're chasing, understanding the revenue pools in that market. So are you going to create enough value out of it? And then who are the users for the product, and really understanding quite deeply what their needs are, rational and emotional that you're going to solve for. And that to me, those three insights are the absolute fundamentals of any good product design and strategy. Understand your market, understand how you'll make money from it, and understand what needs you're solving for the users.
Great. Do you have anything to add, Anil, on what Tim said?
Yeah, definitely. I think as in both of you guys were bang on the point, but I feel that it's more very theoretical when you say that you understand the market, users, and everything, but in very practical and a realistic standpoint, the business leaders do drive the strategy in the company when it comes to it, right? So let's say the scale of the company that you are in and the type of product that you are in defines the strategy as well. For example, let's say a Series A company which is about to raise funds for the Series B, or a Series B which is ready to raise funds for the Series C or anything. Though my users are always at the center point of my discussions, but still the strategy goes to a different level, or the important metric that you plan to address at that point of time varies a bit about it. And I think that really matters as in how your product is strategized in itself and what are the product features that you prioritize, because at the startup you always have a lot of features on the plate always, but the crux of it is always about prioritization. And I think data plays a very big role when it comes to prioritization of what feature that I want to ship. And as you guys have mentioned about it, that what to build. And when it comes to how to build it, for example, you should make sure that you build the MVP first, because it's all hypothesis, unless and until it goes out to my user and my user tells me whether it is right or wrong. And one thing which I learned very early on in my career was that you are not the user. The user is very different from who the product manager or the business team is. So I think when you talk about scaling a product, I would definitely look at it, the business strategy aligned with making an MVP to make sure that it is in the right direction or not.
Great piece of feedback.
I'm going to be a bit iconoclastic. I want to be a bit iconoclastic on this because everybody's lean these days, and it's for me it's kind of amusing or weird to hear around product all the time people talk about strategy and discuss tactics all the time. Strategy is something that, right, it's the big movements of in your shooter game. It's the big movements of the armies, right? It's not a single battle. And for us, it's always like we have a strategy, which means that we believe that the market will move in a certain direction within the next 3 to 5 years. And that we want to, and we might be wrong, but we want to be there when the market would have moved. This is the position we want to have in order to be something that amuses us. And the question is often, what are the tactics and that are going to bring us there? But like without ever, because we know, for example, like on precisely on the question of which features first. Sometimes the feature you are going to give out is an enabler to something else that will only appear later. Sometimes you're the product guy, and precisely your value is in someone is playing poker, right? In guessing correctly what is in the hand of some other player. And it's not always, of course, evidently, if anyone here is passing 3 years in developing user visible features and testing them out for the first time on the big bang deployment, yeah, you will fail. But it's not always, for me, it's often about how do I align whatever the users will like now with the place where if ever I win that battle, it's going to be huge. So it's always about like, hey, yes, let's do our growth hacky, something nice now, but often enough with like looking very, very far away into the future.
Great. I think I think from what we've got, so we're talking about MVP, we're talking about looking really to the market, understanding which are our clients, and not only building this MVP so we can test it really fast, but also having in mind where we see that this industry is moving in 3 to 5 years, right? So we can build the product right, I would say. So this is the second question that I was going to ask you, is that, so we do want to build the product right, because if we only see in like 1 or 2 months from now, then we can be incurring in tech debt, we can be incurring into building a product that it will not scale. So that's actually the question that I wanted to go forward next, is then building the product right. So we have our product strategy that will certainly put us on the path of building the right product, but now building this product right, we can have like many tough decisions to take here. So because sometimes we can impact our development teams with so many dependencies between themselves. Also, there is so much these teams can do, and when we're 20, maybe it's a lot easier for them to sync up and to talk to each other. But when you start to scale, when you start to grow 50 people, 100 people, then the communication between them, it gets harder. And one of the things that I would like to also to understand from your own experience is when we have to take decisions. So as Anil said, I have to take a decision on building this MVP, and as Ori said as well, so I'm building this MVP, but I have to see further. I cannot see only in 1 or 2 months ahead. I have to figure it out what this industry will be in 3 to 5 years, and that can change within a year. So my question here is, how do you base your decisions? What's behind when you have to take a decision? What's behind what is your thought process on this? Ori, do you want to start here?
For me, it's really interesting because I always consider myself to be a kind of a representative for the customer. So I basically represent, but I represent the customer in different functions. It changes, within the day, but sometimes, periods. Sometimes you're an ambassador. So and the main thing is like empathy and really understanding your user, not in the sense of how do I manipulate my user best, but how do I really deliver some value that makes their lives so much better than it was before, that they will keep me later, that they will follow me. But sometimes it's about being a translator. And I think that is the hardest job. The ambassador, if you like your customers, being the ambassador is easy. The translator is something hard, because this is the moment in which you listen to your customers and you always say yes, but not like they thought. Because often enough, they will look at the problem space from what they know, from the brokenness of current tools. And they will ask you for extremely broken, horrible things. Like my customers often ask, can we have FTP? Can we transfer files through FTP? And I have to say, of course, yes, but no. That cannot possibly happen. Yes, but the need is there, and I need to try and translate the need into something that will make sense for them, that is secure, that is as easy to use if possible, easier. Maybe there's like in the analysis of, okay, what is it really that you are asking me for? And maybe the answer is something else. So I think that in this work of prioritization, we as product gotta figure out at each point when we make these decisions, what kind of representative of the customer am I today? And I think that that having having a good dynamic in the product team where people move around between these roles. So sometimes and so you can yell at people, and even if it's a rubber duck, and saying yeah, you want to say yes, but this doesn't smell like the right yes. And so it's very often for me about doing some stuff later, and not injecting the product with all of the things and trying to figure out how do you find a general solution for the problem, not saying yes, but saying yes to this need and to all the others that are in its class. Building the product right, I think it's part of that is solving problems in bundles, not one by one.
Great. Can I risk is like to say that is understanding the why on the need of our clients and then driving it so we can understand if everyone feels this way and then having a solution for it, right?
Yeah, and sometimes it's simply because in my domain, we deal with a lot of suffering, really. I mean, developers, system administrators suffer because everything is broken. And sometimes they become extremely defensive. One of the things we say is deploy on Fridays. Because if you cannot deploy on Friday, you shouldn't be deploying on Monday either. And because you are fearful and there's something, and our thing is not go and respect the don't deploy on Friday thing, but is to help the customer understand why they fear deployment and try to get to the core, because they only become happy with us when they start deploying on Fridays, when they lose the fear. So it's a whole journey in which even when you give the people the right feature, it's often not enough because you also need to give them the possibility to change, to adapt their culture. I do believe the product is a real conversation when the feature is not the answer. The feature is just start of a voyage. To make it really stick, you need to understand why they believe they needed something else sometimes.
Yes, I'd agree with that.
Great. Tim, do you want to add something here?
Sure. At least from my perspective, I think this is where the product vision becomes so important. Because if we're constantly, and we are under pressure to balance the need for tactical delivery and new features and demands from clients, and something really chimed that Ori said there around really understanding, is the feature something that the user really wants or needs, or is it something that the sales team have misheard or misinterpreted and are bringing back to base? So for me, I think the product vision is very key to helping keep you on, I guess, a true north to where you ultimately want the product to get to. I think one of the most important feedback loops for me is in my role on product is from our CEO and founder, Pete, who's just awesome at this. It's really understanding what we need to land to make our investment case compelling. And because of the stage of the business that we are at, we're still in our seed, in the midst of our Series A, really understanding what's the next thing and the next thing that we need to land to make that investment proposition compelling and prove that, we're a slam dunk for that Series A and Series B, which is something that Anil picked up and spoke to. So I think that vision, a feedback loop on what do we need to land for the investor stakeholders, and then what are our users requiring or needing from us, the feedback loops that help me prioritize better as someone who's led product in 2 digital businesses now. Sorry,
got muted. Great feedback, Tim. Great feedback. I totally agree and resonate with that. Anil, do you have anything more to add? These guys already said so many things.
Yeah, there are so many things. I just want to put it up this way as well, right? That's how Ori started off, saying that you have multiple stakeholders when it comes to a product roadmap or anything that you plan to build. But it's always that vision of where you want to be in the next, maybe an year or two. We're going to start a world where I am. 3 years or 5 years is too long shot for me. It's only 1 year or 2 years down the line is what I look at a product vision or anything, right? So in that, let's say when you look at that vision of how to build things, you have to ensure that you build products in a fashion where you can satisfy most of the stakeholders. It is very tough for you to satisfy every stakeholder. And finding the problem statement gets more crucial over here. Let's say that when you ask a user about a problem, like a lot of people have already said it earlier, that when you ask a user what to build, he would tell you 100 answers.
Leader to understand what exactly to build.
Great. So picking up on Ryan's words, so our bazookas, our machine guns will be totally the feedback from our clients, understanding where we want to be in some time from now, and really driving it faster, failing it faster through MVPs, getting feedback from our clients, building up all again, and all of this with a baseline that is understanding why do clients reach out with certain needs, so we can really understand what lies beneath their requirements, so we can deliver something that is for not all of them, but at least for most of them, that they feel this pain.
Pedro, there's like for us anyway, there's something interesting there. We were people that didn't really have a question about product market fit in a way, because the second we put the product out, we like had incredible just feedback. But then again, because we had a very early traction and quite strong traction, I always worry about the bias of your existing customer base. We had a lot of people from a very specific subculture. So it was great with them, but we had ambitions that were larger. And it was quite amusing because internally, every time that we tested stuff with our existing customers, they would sometimes when you ask them, hey, do you want simpler or more powerful? We want this notch. They would kind of say, nah, it's fine. It's working, it's fine. If you can do it even dumber and simpler, I'm done. But we discovered, that like what we wanted to do was go up market, go every time one step up, one step to the right, and the validation of our existing customers, space wouldn't forcefully give us that answer. So it was often enough also about making some choices that sometimes would not be incredibly well accepted by our, just injecting bits of suffering through the removal of magic. So something that was totally magical, now you need to do something, but then again, it opens a world of possibilities of doing other stuff. So, and this was successful for us. It was successful for us to test the waters in, just a bit up market, see, hey, does this resonate? And when we discover that yes, often enough, the people downstairs later, they were also happy because they discovered that, these were people doing maybe like a Drupal website, and then Node.js became also and stuff area. And now they have people doing Python, and they do the MongoDB and InfluxDB. And so with time, their use case also kind of more aligned with us going up market. So I think that's an interesting thing, like validation is not always validation.
Team Anil, do you have anything to add, or can we move to another question?
I think well put.
Okay. So we have 10 minutes left, and instead of a question, I would just like to you guys to give you a chance to share some story, anything that you feel that it was a great achievement or it was some kind of achievement, and why. Because I think that sometimes giving our past experiences, telling a story about something that can really resonate with others and can enlighten or can even motivate to some difficult times that we can go by. Anil, do you want to share some story?
Oh, well, yeah. So when I just moved on to the startup world, as in it's almost like 6 years since I moved on to the startup world, and the first experience itself was very enthralling and exciting for me because when I joined a company, it was a messaging application. We were at around 300k DAU, and by the time I left, almost after 2 years, we were at 8 million DAU. So the scale that we had seen was almost like 20 or 30x that we had seen. And for us, what really worked was understanding the market very specifically, understanding our user base, saying that we were very focused on looking at a user base of 16 to 25. And that's when we understood that in this age group, when we want to target this audience, the features that we build for them have to be very, very specific. And we do not want, we very let's say focusedly narrowed down, saying that we do not want to build for the larger audience. It is just the 60 to 25 age group is what we want to target down, and the features that we built actually attracted the audience. So things that you don't have in WhatsApp, like kids. The reason that we was when we did our study to understand what exactly attracts these kids of the age group 60 to 25 is that there was a reason why all of us moved from Orkut to Facebook and Facebook to WhatsApp. It's because your uncles and aunties come onto this, all your extended family comes onto these groups, and you wanted to maintain some privacy when it comes to your chat applications or anything. Because we were building a chat application, and what we did is that we made sure that users could choose who their status updates are visible to. So it's like it's visible to everyone, but you choose who it was visible to. And then the next part was a hidden chat, where very specifically when it comes to the Indian ecosystem, where boyfriend and girlfriend is not such an open culture, right? So you tend to maintain a lot of privacy over there. And we made sure that the chat app has a hidden chat. And what happened with that is you could chat with your girlfriend, send lots of love stickers and everything. But when your friend opens your app, it's just gone. You don't see it. Your friend doesn't see it. It's only you who can see it. And that really gave us some good traction when it came to the user base. And what we exactly made out of it is that we developed a lot of loyal user base. The other chain follows. So a lot of people did come onto the platform, but my user base stuck onto it because they just loved that feature.
Great, really great story. Tim?
I would go back to a role I had, and I was working with a very mature brand in the UK and in Spain, in a very mature market in payments. And we ended up doubling market share in the particular segment that we were working with, so consumer spending. And I guess for me, the learning that I took out of that experience was a lot of what we've talked about today, the importance of understanding the users, so how the users use the product and what their affinity was to our brand, and then using those insights to design products that they loved and engaged with and used. And then as we went through that design process of the MVP, looking at how that reflected back into the financials of the contract, because it was a B2B2C play. So we were distributing product with a number of partners in both of those markets. So we then projected out the financial return for the partners, and that allowed us to align the incentives in the agreements to drive the right behaviors and the right product design. And for me, that's just a great example of how when you align the user with the product, with the commercials, and make sure that you're creating a nice balance so that every stakeholder wins. There's enough value being invested back in the customer, in your relationship with your distribution partner, to make things really work well. And off the back of that, we more than doubled our consumer market share in those two markets. So it's very, very proud of that achievement.
Awesome.
Yeah, and failures are also always like a nice story, and this is a failure. So very early in our life, we like in the initial strategic roadmap, the product thing, we said, okay, our thing would be a great thing because we like abstractions, so to be something that empowers other people to build on top. So you could take our technology and just build another, like SaaS products on top of it. And then we shut it down because we're like, hey, we're too small, we're illegitimate. This sounds like heavy lifting, never gonna happen and stuff. And it was like, oh, this would have been the coolest thing and we can't build it. And then we got the contract. Like, oh my God. So Magento, a big e-commerce company, and it was a very quick talk, and we had to deliver it like in really, really early, like in a few weeks. And now, because we did it late, now we've like, okay, we went back to the drawing board and productized it again. So now we can do that. And it's an amusing thing because I don't know if we would have chosen to develop the feature when we wanted to, we might not have had Magento. And it was very successful for them. They got bought by Adobe. So they're really happy about that. 1.7 billion. But I don't know that if we would have followed our correct instincts, that we would have been able to correctly implement it. And very probably if we would have went to that level of engineering investment, we were very, very few people. We would have probably built it wrong, and we would not have gotten the chance to build it right later. But yeah, late, potentially, we could have had it like 3 or 4 years ago. But now, like we have it, and we have a reference client that is not of the smallest. So I think that's like the thing, oh, there are no rules. No rules. You never know. You just have to like go out and fight and try.
Yeah, that's a good observation. No rule.
Really good one. I can tell from my side. I can share a little story in the 2 minutes that we got left. So before joining in to Talkdesk, I tried to start a startup, and we got all amazed with this awesome idea that we had, and we actually went to, it was kind of B2B2C thing. Basically, it was to show up the music that is the music that is playing on every disco and on every bar that is within a city, because maybe you're a local, but when you're not a local, you don't know where you want to get out or to have a drink or something. And music quite drives the persons that are on the pubs or on the discos. So we were like, this was an amazing idea. We interviewed some persons, and we never interviewed any person from bars to pubs to discos. So when we just drive down, we built this MVP, we built everything, and when we start to interview bars and discos, no one wanted it. It was like, no, I don't want your microphones here listening to the sound that is playing on my disco. No, I don't want it. So it was kind of it was a tough thing to learn that you should really understand what is the need behind our customers, and you should really dig. Sometimes I think we should put more energy into understanding the needs, into understanding the industry, than actually building up our idea. And I think that's one of the things that I really learned about is know your industry, because it's the first step for you to achieve something great with your product, I think. But yeah, that's my 2 cents here.
Like 2 cents.
And you're a unicorn, so everybody should listen only to Pedro and don't listen to us because we're smaller.
No. I'm not the unicorn. I'm not the unicorn here, but yeah. Thank you very much, guys, for this time, and thank you for putting up with me. Ryan, you can take it from here, man.
All right, so I've been taking some notes and making some drawings. And if you look here, this is the battle plan, okay? And if you look up here, this is Ori, and you can see he's got the helmet on. So the weapons that Ori has, he's got truth bombs, okay? That means
Go ahead. You're still on.
Am I still on?
Yeah, you're still on.
Okay, cool. So let's see here.
And we can see you.
You can see me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're back. We're back. And here I'll skip to the bottom, because at the bottom you see we got Pedro with the phone, because he's in the back controlling it all. So this is the game plan. Now Ori's got truth bombs, right? This is the bomb on the battlefield that he throws, and it lands and it says yes, but no, boom, and it blows up because you know what the customer wants. You also have what I'm calling the target market tracker. Okay, this is a specific thing that you can target the target market. So everybody's shooting at the wrong targets and you're out there in the lead. And then finally, you've got these secret maps, right? These secret special maps you've picked up. And the answer is that on Friday, that's the best place to learn. So you've got that. Now we've got Anil and Tim here on both flanks. And if you can see, one has vision goggles and the other has earphones on. Because let's see, Tim, you've got product vision night goggles, because you're all about the product vision. You've got to have that going on. And then you've also got a very special weapon called the feedback loop net, which is a big loop net like a Gatling gun that shoots out and actually grabs onto your CEO, who brings it back and then attaches to the client. And you've got this feedback loop that's happening. And then Anil, you've got supersonic hearing aids. Nobody sees you. You're just like standing around. You're like, I'm fine, but you're listening to everything. You're listening to the customer. You're listening to what they want. You know they want secret chats. You're building it, and then you're not even telling anybody about the secret chats to create the loyalty. And then Pedro, in the end there, I'd like to say that you've got what I call the problem statement punch. At the end of the day, it comes back to, hand-to-hand combat. You're there in front of a person and you just keep punching them with what is this problem that you're solving. And then again, you've got the repeater, the ultimate repeater. You're the guy that goes and picks up everybody's guns after the ammo's out, and then you continue to shoot them because you're actually listening. And listening is one of the best skills on the battlefield. So I feel like if we were out there in a real live playing game in this startup battlefield, you guys would be the right team. We've got the guy who's just running full force in front. Ari, you were just taking everybody out with truth bombs. And then I feel comfortable with Anil and Tim on the sides. We've got the vision and the hearing. And then, Pedro in the back, you were just picking up the weapons and making sure that everybody's got enough ammo and fuel for the long haul. So in the scaling product, you guys are my team that I want when it comes to the multiplayer game. You've laid out the strategy pretty well here.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you very much. You can be on our team for sure.
All right, guys. Well, hey, this has been another fun podcast. And as you can see, business doesn't always have to be serious, but it's great to get everybody from around the world and a lot of the perspectives aligned like a good team. And if you think about it, going to the startup battlefield is literally a battle. So you got to keep the right partners, the right teams, the right weapons, and make sure that you're on point with it. So if you want to find out other military ops when it comes to business, scaling up financing and talent, all that, check out startupacademy.io. ScaleUp Academy, because we're dealing not with startups, but ScaleUpacademy.io. We'll see you every Monday here. Everybody, what a good time. We'll see you on the battlefield again soon.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Adios.
Yeah. Bye.